viewers and podcast listeners, I'm your host, Miles, and you're tuning in at Xraised, where knowledge meets inspiration in the intricate dance of industry evolution. Join me as I take another business brilliance to the center stage with someone who's been leading the charge in law and technology. She'll take us into the combined world of AI and law, where trust, compliance, and the future of legal research are on the table. So, how do we introduce AI into a field that traditionally leaves nothing to chance? Enter MiAI Law, an AI powered legal research platform that's redefining how lawyers work faster, smarter, and without the mind numbing document review marathons. So, we've invited once again the remarkable mind behind MiAI Law, an award winning barrister who's been fearlessly advocating, negotiating, and making sure justice doesn't lose in the fine print, specializing in construction, contract, and insurance law. Here's our guest, who consistently being recognized as one of Australia's top legal minds, the founder and chief executive officer of MiAI Law, Laina Chan. Hey, Laina.
Hi, Miles. So good to be here with you again.
Yeah, welcome back. Thank you for being here once again. And thank you for your time and effort, because we'll dig deeper into MiAI Law and explore the critical issues of trust, compliance, and the future of AI in legal practice. And with AI revolutionizing industries left and right, we're here to find out how you ensure lawyers can confidently embrace its power while maintaining the integrity of the legal profession. So I'll start this off right away, so we can never waste time and we can cover enough. Legal professionals are trained to be meticulous, skeptical, and, let's be honest, masters of risk aversion. When you introduce AI here at X-Rays into the mix, that trust factor becomes even more critical. How does MiAI Law ensure that AI-assisted legal research is not just efficient, but also something lawyers can fully trust in their practice?
Okay, so what we have seen is that other research platforms, we suspect that this is what they're doing, the major names in legal research, that what they've done is that they've just put a little wrap around ChatGPT, for example, API, and they've just you ask it a natural language question, and this API, ChatGPT, for example, just goes off into the data set and does a search and returns the answer. And some of the potential clients that I have been meeting with, potential clients we're working on to see if we can find a synergy, they've tried these major platforms and they've been very disappointed. And I met with one yesterday and I said, well, what was actually going wrong with it? I won't name the platform, but it's one of the major platforms. And they said we would ask it a question and on Western Australian law, for example. And we would ask it, tell us what is happening in terms of regulations, etc., on a particular area of law in Western Australia. And he said it generated an answer that looked really good. But then when they dug deeper, it was referencing New South Wales legislation. And Australia is the Federation of States and Territories. So Western Australia and New South Wales, two different states. So they went back to the AI and they said, oh, that's great, but we want the answers in relation to Western Australia. Please regenerate your answer referable to Western Australia. So it did it again and it spat the answer back out. And they looked again deeper into the reference material, but it was again pointing to New South Wales law. And so why that doesn't happen for us is that we're not just relying on the LLM to go do what you've asked it to do. Our whole system is structured so that that doesn't happen. We've actually hard-coded the reasoning, the way I reason when I carry out research. We've actually hard-coded that into our model so that we're not just relying upon the LLM to behave the way we want it to behave. So we're actually forcing the LLM to behave in a structured way. And the way we've set out our data, we've set it up so that, our model knows where the Western Australian law is kept. It will go to the Western Australian law. It will do the research, and then it will reason and rank the importance of the cases in accordance with our ranking and our reasoning system. And it's all hard coded into the system.
I see. Yeah, that makes total sense, Lena. And of course, they're using a platform to improve their research, and it has to be accurate, efficient, and trustworthy.
Yes.
And when I was reading about my AI Law, it's like having an ultra competent, tireless research assistant, except it never needs coffee breaks or
That's
forgets
right.
case law precedents, because then again, no one has the perfect memory, as you mentioned in our previous conversation.
Yes.
And you bring a wealth of expertise, Lena, in fields with overflowing documentation and complex regulations. And I know we've talked about this a little before, but could you tell us more? How have industry-specific legal challenges shaped the way my AI Law tailors its AI research tools?
Okay. Well, my reasoning is developed over many years, right? So, but over 30 years of experience. So I started my career as working for two Court of Appeal judges doing legal research for them. And then when I was working in big law, you didn't really have much time to do research. It's much more process-driven type work, admin type work.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get the time to do the deep legal research. But then when I was at the bar, and I'm still at the bar for 20 years, you have to look much deeper into the case law for the areas of law that I practice in.
Mm-hmm.
So I have worked out, particularly in the last year, I've really had to think about what is it you do when you're faced with a legal problem, right? And so I've codified all that. I've written the algorithms down. I've had to think, before I would just go, I just do it because I just know what I'm supposed to do, right? But now I have to think, but what did I actually do? What steps did I take? And I've written all that down into an algorithm. And because I also am dual qualified in pure mathematics and law. So I have codified my whole process and I've given it to Fred, my
Mm-hmm.
co-founder, and he's
Yeah.
coded it all up. And that's what is hard baked into our system. So
Uh,
it's not dependent on any particular area of law because this is the process you have to go through no matter what legal problem you're given. So I haven't, our system should work across all areas of law. It doesn't matter because this is the process you have to follow in order
right.
to get the answer. And
Mm-hmm.
we've done a lot of things in the back end to help our system look at the right areas of law, where to go and look. I mean, Fred, I don't know if people watched the last episode, he developed a self-driving technology in Tokyo, and he had
Mm-hmm.
cars driving by themselves in Tokyo in 2017. So he had 8 Lexus driving around Tokyo in 2017. The reason why they picked Lexus was because Lexus was the easiest car to hack into. They had to
Mm-hmm.
hack into the car to take control of their I don't know, their computer,
Right.
right?
Uh-huh.
And so we've taken all that complexity and reasoning and all that learning from how you control a whole car to how we built our model, which is so complex within that what we really have is the, we have a virtual lawyer, virtual robot of my reasoning
Mm-hmm.
process, which is not specific to any particular area of law. So have I answered the question?
Yeah, you pretty much touch on that. And
Yes,
I also remember, Lena, there's probably a million exhibits in just a single case, which is
yes,
not just a haystack. That's an entire barn. But
yes,
good thing with your system and tech, AI can sift through all that and hand lawyers the golden needles they need, as your co-founder friend mentioned
yes,
recently.
yes.
Uh-huh.
So I remember when I worked on one particular case
Mm-hmm.
and the client came and saw me. It was a huge infrastructure dispute over a gas refractory. And there were so many documents, and the solicitor hadn't really done anything to order the documents in any particular way for me. And I had to go through, I don't know, 50,000 or 500,000 documents, and I had to do
Mm-hmm.
it myself.
Yeah.
And the client kept saying, but I don't understand why you have to do that. We can easily prove our case just by relying on this one spreadsheet. And then I was like, well, that's not how you actually prove a case in court. That's not good enough. But I had to manually go through all the documents, and I don't know if I missed any documents. I mean, you go through and you get a sense, you're flipping through, and then suddenly your brain goes, oh no, rewind and go and have a look at that. But that took a very long time and it cost a lot of money. But
Mm-hmm.
now our AI, and I've been told that AIs that e-discovery and other platforms have not actually been very successful in using AI to pass through the documents and read it and find the information. They're not actually very good
Uh-huh.
at it.
I see.
So we believe we're different because, as the public will see soon, we're able to use AI to search the documents and return information that other platforms, I am told, have not been able to do. So
Mhm.
that will save so much time because the client will be able to upload all the documents that they want in their own dedicated server, everything encrypted with military grade encryption, that it will be impossible, as Fred said in the last episode, to hack. And then our AI will be able to go through and read the documents and return that information to you. And we're also preparing hot link chronology so that we can
Mm.
prepare, in chronological order, the key
Yeah.
facts in each of these documents. And then even in the process of working out how to develop a chronology, I had to think about, well, how do you actually work out what facts you actually want in the chronology? So then the last year, everything I do, I've had to reduce to a process. I just do it and I go, yeah, but why did I do it like that? How did I work out what I wanted to go in the chronology so that we
Mhm.
can then train the system or create a system for the actual preparation of chronologies.
Right. Thanks
So
for
that should
yeah. Sorry.
so that should save a lot of time, be way, way, much, much, much quicker. And Fred
Mhm.
and hopefully it will, Fred says it will completely eliminate human error
Yeah, and I
and
read
boredom.
from
Boredom.
and from 15 hours it could be down to 5 to 15 minutes. I mean, talk about saving
Yes.
time. And thank you for briefly telling us about how unique my AI law is, Lena. And for sure, with the features you mentioned, the judge will be grateful too. Fewer late nights, drowning in paperwork.
Well, actually,
And
that's really interesting because the judges in Australia, I think, are hesitant about the value that AI can bring to their work. But that's because I don't think, well, until you see our product, I don't think
of
that
course.
there's actually any tool that is actually ready to
Uh-huh.
help the lawyers in Australia. Because
Mhm.
just a large language model, OpenAI, ChatGPT, they're not actually built for law. You have to actually prepare a specific tool for law. And
Mhm.
ours is not just a wrap around ChatGPT. We've got I think Fred says it's 5 different layers of AI. And then we've
Mhm.
got hundreds. I had thought we only had 2 agents, but this morning, did he say? This morning, he told me that we're actually developing hundreds and hundreds of agents to do work. And another difference between us and the major research partners is that we are really, really quick. We do everything simultaneously. So you ask the natural language question to us, we re-engineer that into a legal prompt, and then simultaneously we are searching our own proprietary database. We're searching your data to bring context to the query, and we're searching
Mhm.
journal list of databases. Everything is being done simultaneously, and all the answers returned. They then force through our algorithms, and everything's being ranked and re-ranked and
Filtered.
and then the answer comes back, and it's really quick because
Mhm.
Fred puts it in a very brutal way. He goes, I did self-driving technology. Imagine if I saw a kid standing in front of the car and it took me 3 minutes to return an answer, to say stop the car. So
Yeah.
that everything, he brings that ability to return rapid fire, precise and evidence verifiable and
Mhm.
evidence-based answers.
Yeah. And as AI advances, Lena, so the laws of governing privacy and data protection, especially in a highly regulated country like Australia. How does my AI law ensure compliance with Australia's stringent data privacy laws while developing AI-driven legal solutions?
Well, we're not using your data for anything. We're not selling your data to anyone. Your login data, your details are not shared with anyone. We're not aggregating the data or and anonymizing it, which you can,
Uh-huh.
and selling that. We're not doing that. And and all your data is secure. As I said in the last episode, we've got military grade encryption, which means that you have to be able to hack the system in two different ways simultaneously.
Yeah.
And then the client, there's a public key, which we own, encryption key. The client has their own encryption key, but that encryption key changes all the time. It's variable. And
Mhm.
so if you want to hack into the system and you want to get at the client's data, well, first of all, you have to hack into our system and everything is encrypted, even our code is encrypted. And
Mhm.
then you have to then try and get into the client's data, and every client has their own unique encryption key, which is variable, it changes all the time. So
Uh-huh.
it's impossible, Fred says, even if you accost him in a bar and force him to
Mhm.
give you his public key, that
Yeah.
you have one half of the key, you don't have the client's key, and the client's key is constantly changing.
Yeah.
So
He
that's
even
how,
mentioned it's impossible to be hacked.
yeah, it's
His
impossible to.
exact terms.
And so we ensure data privacy that way. And the other way is that we just simply do not use your data for anything. And we don't use your data to train the model either.
That's great. So it's not just about making legal research faster, it's about keeping it airtight on security and compliance too, Lena. Because the last thing any lawyer wants is an AI solution that creates more legal problems than it solves.
Yes. Yes.
And
And even today, even I've been reading, that this keeps being all these cybersecurity issues,
Mhm.
with law firms being hacked, etc., and data being stolen.
Uh-huh.
There won't be that issue with us.
Right. And access to justice has always been a challenge, especially for small firms and community legal organizations that may not have
Yes,
the resources of big law firms.
that's
How
right.
is
They
my
won't.
AI? How is my AI law making high quality legal research more accessible? And what impact do you hope this will have on the profession?
I think it will be massive. I think that it will help all those remote legal communities that just often struggle to get lawyers to be willing to come and work for them, that this will just turbocharge them and give them access to information and research and capabilities that just would not normally be available to them for a fraction of the price of one human being. And that, I think we're really create turbocharging a lawyer, make them 20 times better than they were without that tool. So you're getting for a relatively small subscription fee this huge
Okay.
increased capability, and that will turbocharge community legal centers, small law firms, everyone really. It will make
Mhm.
small law firms even better, increase their knowledge base. You have to know what questions to ask, but then our system is quite curious. You ask it a question, I'll come back and I'll ask you to clarify certain issues. And then
Mhm.
it will just make every lawyer better.
Okay.
It just keeps raising the level of everyone, right? And even if
Mhm.
you're already a great lawyer, that
Mhm.
will make you even better because you can, it's got all the information in there. So you can
Mhm.
then ask it you can ask it, for example,
Mhm.
I've got this case for misleading or deceptive conduct going to court and it's going before this particular judge. Tell me, how this particular judge has ruled on these particular issues. And we will be able to tell you that
Yeah.
this judge, these arguments work with this particular judge. These certain arguments do not work.
Mm.
This judge likes evidence
It
put to
could
him
be
in
complex
him or
too.
her, I have to say him or her, in a certain way. And it will
Uh-huh.
just then help you fine tune your strategy and then say, and it will suggest, and our chatbot's name is Jewel because I like jewelry. Our
Yeah.
chatbot Jewel is actually trademarked. And so Jewel will then tell you, suggest which might be a better way to go with this particular judge.
Well, I'm
It just
excited for Jewel.
basically, like in the American movies, when they have lots and lots of money, they do research and this is the kind of information you want, right? But very few clients would be able to afford the cost and
Uh-huh.
expense of getting that level of detail out. But you can just ask a few questions and our system will be able to tell you.
That must be really massively transformative, Lena, because it's democratizing legal research, which means even the smallest firms
Yes.
can compete with the biggest players. And I love that vision because it gives every lawyer the chance they really deserve. Imagine the possibilities.
It's the client. So, for
Mhm.
example, it's the small law firms generally who act for the plaintiffs.
Mm-hmm.
Large law firms act for the defendants, right?
Uh-huh.
And the defendants are the ones with all the money and all the resources. So putting aside class actions, but in a case if you it's generally the under-resourced plaintiff firm against the large law firm who's on the
Mm-hmm.
defense, they can just crush you with all these legal processes and starve you of funds. And then you're this poor, you could be a one person, two-person firm, and then you have to deal with everything that's being lobbed at you by the big law firm. But if you
Mm-hmm.
have our tool, then that really 20x's your resources and it helps level the playing field.
Yeah, that's a very practical analogy, Lena. AI is indeed evolving in lightning speed, and we know my AI law is just getting started. What's next for you guys? Are there any upcoming innovations that will further transform the way legal professionals interact with AI?
Well, we've been developing a model now for 10 months,
Yeah.
and it
Okay.
tells me that we've been able to achieve in what 1 year, what other people might take 3 years to achieve, because that's what,
Mm,
and so
amazing.
that's what he says. I believe him. And then because what we're doing, I mean,
What
what
a
I know
pressure
about,
on Fred then.
yeah, because I know from what we're doing behind the scenes and how we've set up our architecture and our model and what it is we're doing and all it's just not, it's like a robot. It's like
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so we're expecting to have a demo ready by the end of uh a March.
Uh-huh.
It should be, yeah, end of March. And then there'll be, well, there's a lot of my barrister friends who have volunteered to test it. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm looking for testers who span 10 different practice areas. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously I've got barristers because I do construction law and property, and I've got all those barristers who've already said, we want to test it, we want to test it. But the next step is we need to test it across the different subject matter areas. And I don't think it should work. Fred is confident it will work because,
Uh-huh.
my reasoning methodology is not dependent on any particular area of law. That's just the process you should do if you're faced with any legal
Uh-huh.
issues. And then we expect to be launching and selling our product from the new financial year. So from 1 July. Fred says June 30, but 1 July,
Yeah.
people will be able to log in, sign
Mm-hmm.
in,
July.
give us their
Wow,
credit
coming.
card. Yep, and then off they go.
Exciting for you, for the law practitioners, and Jewel. This is the kind of future we love to hear about, Lena. One where lawyers aren't buried in paperwork but are using AI as a powerful tool responsibly through your platform and coming very soon to deliver better results.
I
And
just want to make, sorry, I just want to make one additional
yeah,
point.
sure.
So, there are a lot of people who are afraid that AI is going to take away their jobs, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are. I mean, I've been to law conferences and they do a survey and ask, the whole audience, what are you afraid that AI is going to take away your job? And there's a really surprisingly high percentage of people saying that they're afraid of that. But let me just give you an example. When I started working for the judges many, many,
Uh-huh.
many years ago, every month we would get a stack of annotations, and we would have to go to the physical law reports, or the English law reports, for example, and then
Mm-hmm.
write in at the top of each case, considered in X versus Y, whatever the year is. We would have to manually write on the page of every single case. And I used to have a folder, that was really, really thick. And I had to work through it. And by the time I finished working with it, I had gone through it all. But every month there was this constant bundle
Yeah.
of applications I had to write. But
Mm-hmm.
by the time I finished working for the judges, which was 2 years, LexisNexis had released CaseBase. And all you had to do was type into CaseBase the name of your particular case, and immediately it would return all the treatments, subsequent treatments of that case. So what
Okay.
was taking me, my God, like was the most excruciating exercise imaginable, that I had to constantly go and bring
I'm
down the judges'
sure.
books and write in them how that case had been. And and then one the the associate who was working next door, she hated it. So ever so often, she would just take a whole bundle of these annotations and put them in the bin. And I was like, oh my God, you've just completely made the judge's books completely valueless because, you
Right.
know, there's not a complete set of exactly how that particular case has been treated. But then
Uh-huh.
luckily, LexisNexis came out and you could just buy case base and then put that in. But that didn't
Mhm.
mean that I had lost my job, but it just meant that I could then find the answers so much faster, right? And so I
Yeah.
think it will just change the type of work that lawyers will do, and it
Mm-hmm.
will just make them able to get to a point where they can learn to make more strategic decisions faster, which
Right.
is always the aim of the junior lawyer, right? They're always saying, I want to see
Mm-hmm.
clients, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then it just accelerates the process.
Right. It's not like we're being replaced. In fact, AI is enhancing us, making
I
our
think
work
so.
so much faster, smarter, and
Yes.
more efficient. Because as you mentioned in our first interview, I wouldn't forget, I don't have the perfect memory. And
Yes.
AI does that for us. And, it's
Well,
complex. It may be
actually,
complex.
well, AI hasn't actually got that yet because that's called long context memory. And that is
Uh-huh.
what I've gone to Fred and I said, this is what I want. But our system, we're working on that now. And
Uh-huh.
so we're working using the research that Google publish on their Titan project on how they
Mm-hmm.
think that we can have this perfect memory. We've been developing our own perfect memory so that our system, when you come and interact with us, we never forget anything you've
Mm-hmm.
ever done, any work we've ever done for you, anything. So we will hold it all for you so that you will
Yeah.
never forget. So in a subsequent session, it will just pick up from exactly where we left off and perfect
Great.
memory.
They're recorded. And Laina, every time you're here on our show, you leave us with a fresh perspective on where AI and law are headed. As always, thank you so much for gracing our show. And it's really a pleasure having you here.
Thank you so much for having me, Miles.
See you again next time. We'll touch on will humans be replaced by AI maybe in the next episode.
Yeah, let's do that because I actually wrote a paper on that.
Oh, great. Then that
It's
will be a
coming.
great reference for us.
Oh, I'll send it to you. It's being published in the Law Society Journal.
Okay, exciting. So, folks, today we've unpacked trust in AI, compliance with strict data laws, industry specific applications, accessibility, and the future of AI powered legal research with MiAI Law. Head over to miai.law to learn more or integrate it into your practice. So, that's it for now in today's episode of Xraised. Until next time, keep raising the bar, literally and figuratively. This has been your host, Miles. Stay focused and inspired with Xraised.